Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Leadership Project Live. We've got a special show for you today as we announce our inaugural winners of the Podcast Guest of the Year Awards. We're really excited to get into today's show, so here we go. So welcome back to the Leadership Project Live. It's a special honor for me today to be able to pay tribute to the people that are behind the success of the Leadership Project podcast. We are now 4 years old today. Today is the 4-year anniversary of the Leadership Project podcast, and we're in season 5. We've had 248 episodes so far, and we want to be able to give back to the people that have helped the show make it what it is today. So that's what today is going to be, a celebration of our guests. We've got 2 categories of award coming up. We have our judges panel, the people that have had the biggest impact on us at the Leadership Project podcast, people that we continually think about as we go about our daily life, and we want to show them the impact that they've had with us. And we have a People Choice Award. So those that have been following the show, you would have seen the voting over the last few weeks for you to vote for the guest that has had the biggest impact on your leadership and on your life. So we're live streaming out now. We're live streaming on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. So thank you for everyone that has joined us so far. I can see the numbers are starting to tick up there. If you want to make any comments as we go, please do pop them into the comments, and we'll be able to see those as we go through the award ceremony today. And we've already got one from my dear wife, which is happy anniversary to TLP. That's the Leadership Project acronym. Yeah, 4 years, been an incredible journey. And also saying that very excited for these podcast awards and to be able to celebrate the people that have come on the journey with us. So to respect your time, I'm going to get straight into it. Let's get into the Leadership Project Podcast Awards for 2025. This is the inaugural one. The first time we've done this, but we're going to do it on an annual basis going forward so that we can show our respect to the people that are making this show what it is. Before we do, I'm going to make a few announcements this week. Coming up on the Leadership Project, we've had on the podcast this week Jill Schulman talking about the science of bravery. This is a great interview, really talking about what bravery is, what courage is, and debunking myths about this concept of being fearless. It's not that people are fearless. It's courage and bravery is taking action despite fear. And Jill helps us tap into how we might do that. And next week on the show, we're joined by Heather Younger, who talks to us about the art of self-leadership. Beyond that, in the coming month, we've got some incredible guests coming up. These are all masterpieces in their own right. There's something in every one of these interviews for you to take away, actionable insights that you can put into your leadership practice and into your life. We have Sabina Nawaz. Sabina is telling us about the art of delegation. She's got this wonderful framework and tool called the Delegation Dial. You don't want to miss that. Jamie Wolf and Chris Bell joining us. They're both ex-Pixar and telling us about the power of storytelling and how we can build storytelling into our business and into our leadership. Kyle McDowell, you've heard about Start With Why. Kyle McDowell's framework is Begin With We, and it's a really powerful framework about leading with vision, leading with values, and leading with impact. And the amazing Henrik Bresman, who is a professor at INSEAD and shares with us this concept that he built with another professor from MIT around what they call X teams, and about whether our teams are very intrinsically motivated and looking always inwards, or are they looking outwards? Are they externally focused on their stakeholders? So wonderful interviews coming up on the show. Now, as I mentioned, we're celebrating 4 years. It's really quite a journey. It's 4 years exactly today. 4 years ago today was the first 3 episodes went live on the first day. And the journey has been an incredible journey of learning and growth for all of us ever since. 248 episodes. 248 episodes. And all of these guests that come and share their time with us, their wisdom and their insights. So I want to thank them for this, but I also want to thank our team. There's a team behind the scenes that make all of this happen. I get the easy gig. I get the joyous part where I get to sit in front of these world-leading experts every week and ask them any question that I like. It's just, I feel very gifted, or I'm not sure what the right word is, blessed. I feel very blessed that I get to do that every week, but it's the team behind the scenes that do all the hard work. I want to mention in particular Faris Sadek, who does all of our video editing, Gerald Calabo, who does all of the audio editing. We have Joanne Ginto Goes On, who helps us with a lot of the social media and the marketing around the program. We had Rika Verdanis, who has gone on to other things now, but she was instrumental in those early successes that we had. And of course, the number one is my dear wife, Say. There's no way that I could do this show without her unwavering support. So I get the easy gig, and all of these other people are the ones that do all the hard work in the background. And I'm eternally grateful for everything that you do for me and that you do for our audience. Thank you so much. Okay. Then, of course, we need to celebrate our guests. So over 248 episodes through 2021, 2022, 2023. Look at all of these faces, 2024. And of course, we're halfway through 2025 now and or quarter way through 2025. And we've already had some amazing guests in 2025 as well. And what we will be doing today is celebrating those guests. We'll be talking about our judges panel, the people that have had the biggest impact on us individually at the Leadership Project. And then we'll be talking around these People's Choice Awards, which are the votes from everyone. We're getting some more comments. Thank you so much, Lisa McLean. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you for the good wishes, and also connecting back with my wife. That's absolutely wonderful. We love you, Lisa, and thank you so much for your support as we've been through this journey as well. Okay, let's get into it. We don't want to have these guests waiting any longer to know whether they're a winner of one of our inaugural awards. So let's go into it. First of all, with the judges panel, these are the people that have had the biggest impact on us at the Leadership Project. So there's a top 5 here. We couldn't split them. In fact, when Say asked me to come up with my top 5, my initial list was a top 47. It's very hard. All of our guests are just amazing, and they share their time, their wisdom, and their insights with us very willingly, have wonderful conversations, and they do it because they're very impact-driven people. So the first one I want to say in our top 5 is Don Campbell. Don Campbell was on episode 14 of the Leadership Project, so all the way back in 2021. He had a huge impact on my life. Don introduced me to the concept of deep listening. If you watch the show carefully, and you look at the way that I did my interviewing in the first 13 episodes, everything shifted from episode 14 onwards. And it was because of Don Campbell. He introduced me to this concept of deep listening and the work of Otto Scharmer and Theory U. And this is to really stop about what kind of level of listening are we doing. Level 1 is just downloading. It's just listening to the things that confirm what we already believe. Level 2 is listening with an open mind. Level 3, listening with an open heart. And level 4, listening with an open will to imagine a new reality. And it's all around this art of co-creation, that we are smarter together, that we can do things greater when we deeply listen to each other and we build on each other's ideas. And we put aside our predetermined ideas about how the world works. This is amazing work. If you haven't seen Don's work, and he's an author himself, he's also a sculptor, amazing person. Look at Don's work but also look at the work of Otto Scharmer, and it'll change the way that you lead. For people that are in my teams, you've heard me talk about the word co-creation, I think once, twice, or 3 times a week. This is why. It came from Don Campbell and it came from Otto Scharmer. So thank you so much, Don. And we've got some congratulations there coming in on LinkedIn. You have changed our life forever, 4 years ago. Thank you so much. Next in our top 5 is Ariel O'Farrell. It's the middle of the night in Ireland right now, so I doubt that Ariel is connected. But Ariel, you're a twice guest on the show, and you've had a huge impact on me personally and on the panel and on the team at TLP. Ariel introduced us to the concept of the manager's dilemma. And this is where managers fall into the trap very easily. I did this in my career without any doubt, where you think that you need to know all the answers. And it gets deeper than that. You don't just not need to know all the answers. It's actually detrimental to your team's learning and growth if you give them all the answers. So it's about when someone comes to you in your office or whatever the situation might be, and they ask you a question, you've got to avoid the instant reaction to think that you've got to give them the answer. And the answer here is to ask better questions and to teach them how to answer their own questions. So Ariel O'Farrell, thank you. Congratulations coming in here on LinkedIn as well. Ariel O'Farrell, thank you so much. You introduced us to this concept called the manager's dilemma. That led me to look at the work of Liz Wiseman and the concept of being a multiplier. And it changed the way that I lead and the way that I teach other people to lead. Thank you so much, Ariel. Next in our top 5 is Zach Mercurio. I think I don't go a week without mentioning Zach's work to someone. Everyone that I meet, I think I've mentioned Zach Mercurio at some point in my life. He is the author of the book called The Invisible Leader. And he taught us that what people really want in the workplace is to be seen, to be heard, and to feel like they matter. And that mattering starts with purpose. So he puts his life work into this concept of mattering and where purpose comes into that mattering. And he showed us techniques. He taught us on the show how to find our own purpose. So if you're struggling to find your purpose, go back and look at that episode, either on YouTube or listen to the podcast, or pick up a copy of the book, The Invisible Leader. It'll help you find your purpose. It'll help you find and help other people to find their purpose. And it'll help you to make your team members feel that they're seen, that they heard, and that they matter. And when people feel like they matter, they do a funny thing. They do things that matter. It really changed my life, this interview with Zach Mercurio. I'm also excited to tell you he's got a new book coming out and he's going to come back on the show. He's got a book coming out called The Power of Mattering, How Leaders Can Create a Culture of Significance. And that's going to be released in May. And it's already been announced that it's going to be on the next Big Idea Club as a must read when it does come out in May. So we're looking forward to having Zach back on the show and to unpack this topic around mattering to an even deeper level. So congratulations, Zach. Thank you so much for everything that you do and for sharing your time and wisdom with us. The next one is Richard Newman from the UK, and Richard's expert in public speaking, but what he taught us was about communicating with gravitas. And some of the scientific research that Richard and his team have done into how we communicate with our body language, with the way that we stand, with the way that we use our voice, all of these things mattering more than the words that we actually say. So if you want to be a powerful communicator, if you want to communicate with influence and persuasion, look into Richard's work. This stuff is just amazing. You can watch his interview on the YouTube channel, or you can catch the podcast, or you can go and research Richard's work. It really is phenomenal. And this is another example. When people come to me and ask me for tips on presentation skills, communication skills, the art of influence and persuasion, I point them towards Richard. He is an absolute gem. And the next one on our top 5 list is Irene Riad, who's in 2024. This one's a little bit more recent. Irene is incredible. This one was mind expanding for me. It put me into a new world of thinking about the way people show up at work, about what leads them to resistance to change, about what motivates them into action. And she led me into discovering the work of Jungian psychology, so the work of Carl Jung, and thinking about the ego, the identity, your persona, and your shadow, and how all of those things interplay together as we go through our world and how we show up. And I've got a couple of announcements that I'm going to make at the end of the show, so please stay tuned to the announcements at the end. Irene inspired one of those announcements in particular, so congratulations, Irene. And we've got some more messages coming in. So congratulate from Giselle. Thank you, Giselle. It's been far too long. We need to catch up. Congratulations, TLP. Way to go. Thank you. And lovely messages from Dr. Amin Sanaya to Don Campbell, Iriel, Zach, Richard, and Irene in terms of the judges panel. Okay. Now, we don't want you waiting any longer. Who are the People's Choice Awards? We need to dig into that now. So there's our judges panel. Congratulations, Don, Ariel, Zach, Richard, and Irene. Now we go to the People's Choice. In the top 5, voted by you, who are the guests that have had the biggest impact on your life? Who made you stop, think, and reflect and look at the world in a different way? And the first of our top 5 is Danny Langloss. Danny was amazing. This was a great interview. At the end of this interview, I remember turning to the team, and I usually tell them where the highlights are. I said the whole thing was highlight. The whole thing was a highlight reel. Please go and catch Danny's interview. It really is amazing. And what he introduced us to was this concept of the 7 pillars of ownership, and about when someone takes ownership of their work, they always do more. And he uses this beautiful metaphor of whether you're renting house or whether you own the house. If you rent the house, you kind of just look after it. If you own the house, you improve it. So if you want to build ownership in your team and see how far they can go with their ownership and their work, look into the work of Danny Langloss. It was absolutely wonderful interview. The next one in our top 5 is Mike Green. This was an amazing interview as well. And he kind of lived and embodied the interview as he went. So Mike's message was about leaders are formed in the wild. And when I'm interviewing him, he was like in the wilderness in Alaska with the wilderness in the background to show me, that demonstrate to me what it means about this leaders are formed in the wild. And it's about some of those situations that you get into where you have obstacles in your way and what you learn during adversity and how it sharpens you as a leader. This was an amazing interview. Okay, let's get to our top 3. So there's a lot of people that are waiting, wanting to know who the winner is. We're now going to go into our top 3 of the Viewer's Choice. So the People's Choice Awards, top 3. Number 3 is Irene Riad. So she made it as one of our panel's choice in the top 5 of people that have impacted us in TLP, but she impacted you too. So absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for everyone that voted. I agree. Irene's interview it just opened my eyes to a brand new world. And as mentioned, I'm going to share with you what Irene has inspired me to do in my future path. And I can see that she's watching the show, so this is wonderful. Irene, you're the only one, by the way, that's on both the judges panel, and you're also on the People's Choice. So you've had an impact not just on the team at TLP, but you've had a huge impact on our audience. So congratulations on being our number 3 in the People's Choice Award. And thank you so much for your kind words here on LinkedIn right now. Thank you so much for all that you do and for sharing your time and your wisdom and your insights with us and opening our eyes to a new way to see the world. Number 2 is Dr. Ray Fromista. Dr. Ray's interview was really interesting. We explored what it's like to do leadership development from an insider's perspective. So a lot of coaches, a lot of leadership development practitioners come from the outside. They come into an organization, or they come and they coach individual leaders. Ray was talking about what it looks like from the inside of the organization. How do you curate a wonderful leadership development program for the people within your organization? So if you're inside an organization and you're looking to create a leadership development program for different people at different stages of their career, even starting before they get their first leadership role, the interview with Dr. Ray has been amazing. And he's constantly one of the top voices on LinkedIn on topics around leadership, and also one of the top voices in the Philippines in his craft. So congratulations, Dr. Ray. Okay, without further ado, the one that you've all been waiting for. Who was number 1 in the People's Choice Awards? The answer is Dr. Amin Sanaya. Congratulations, Dr. Amin. This is an absolutely, you've had an impact on all of the audience. This is what it tells us. And what I'm going to tell you is that the topic was value-based leadership, and it was an amazing topic. What was even further was the storytelling. Dr. Amin shared so openly about his background, about his parents' background, about his own story, where he developed his value-based leadership from his parents, and it completely changed the way that he showed up in the rest of his life. This is an amazing interview, and values-based leadership is absolutely critical in today's world. But what I love even more was the way Dr. Amin showed and shared with openness and with authenticity his amazing story as he became the leader that he is today. So Dr. Amin, we're very proud of you. Thank you for sharing your time, your wisdom, your insights with us. But more importantly, thank you for sharing your story. That was the impactful part. It wasn't just the lesson. It was how the lesson came to being. So they're our People's Choice winners. Dr. Amin Sanaya, Dr. Ray Fromista, Irene Riad, Mike Green, and Danny Langloss. Congratulations. You have earned the respect of our audience. You've changed their life. You've been impactful in the way that they lead and the way that they show up. And we do have a wonderful comment here from Dr. Amin himself, congratulating Danny, Mike, Irene, and Ray. That's wonderful for you to do that, sir, but be proud yourself. Be very proud of the impact that you've had on our audience. Okay. I mentioned that we're going to have some announcements. Okay. So with some more comments as we're coming in. So Dr. Amin, thank you. It was a great conversation. I loved our conversation. It was absolutely amazing. And we also have this comment here that is saying that this is awesome. So thank you so much for your support as well. Now, I mentioned that I had a few announcements to make. So there's 3 announcements coming about what we're going to do next on the Leadership Project on the podcast, but also on the YouTube channel. I also mentioned that Irene Riad had particularly inspired me into action around something in particular. Now, my background's an interesting one. I've been a leader for 30 years, and I've been studying leadership for what is close to 14 years now. So in different forms. I've become a certified coach myself through the ICF and Coach Masters Academy in Singapore. I've studied different leadership frameworks. I've read deeply. I've practiced leadership and practiced the art of self-reflection every day, asking myself the same 5 questions at the end of every day. What went well? What didn't go well? What would I do differently next time? What did I learn about myself? What did I learn about others? So a lot of my leadership learnings, I've been very lucky to have companies that have sponsored me on different leadership programs with organizations like INSEAD. I've taken my coaching certification, etc. But the most part has been quite informal. When I met Irene Riad and discovered this deeper world of the the formal academic world of psychology, I've decided to formalize my study in psychology and take it along a more formalized structure. And I've already started. I've already done 1.5 courses with Yale University around psychology. And I'm doing that because I want to really get deeper into understanding the science behind human behavior. What drives people to behave in the way that they're doing? What drives them to be either motivated or demotivated, to step into courage or to step back because of fear? All of these things, to then unlock what it means to be a better leader because you understand the psychology behind the human behavior. Then at the collective is the organizational behavior. I'm going to be studying organizational psychology and how social structures and social systems work. So whilst I've been a student of leadership all of this time and done different programs, I'm now stepping into the breach and I'm going to formalize it a little bit more around the study of psychology. And I'm going to share my journey along the way. So for those that follow us on our YouTube channel, and we encourage you to do so, I'm going to share the journey with you. So if you want to subscribe to the Leadership Project YouTube channel, I'm going to have a very specific stream or theme within the channel where I'm going to be sharing my study in psychology, what I'm learning from that study of psychology, and how it shows up in the way that I lead and what it means from a leadership perspective. So that's announcement number 1. Announcement number 2, on the back of the Podcast Guest Awards, and thank you to everyone that participated and everyone that voted, we're also pleased to announce that we're going to have a Coaching and Leadership Award in July this year. So we're going to be celebrating our Coach of the Year and our Leader of the Year. So this will be nominated. So there'll be nominations for people to nominate for a leader. Hopefully it's maybe even your leader or a leader in your near surroundings, someone that embodies the leadership behaviors that we want to see in others, for you to nominate that person, and we'll have a judging panel that will be going through the submissions to decide who that Leader of the Year is. And Coach of the Year could be a leadership coach, it could be a business coach. Who's been a coach that has changed the way that that you lead and the way that you show up? So there is a nomination form, and Say is going to be putting that into the comments so that you can start voting for or nominating your Leader of the Year and Coach of the Year. So there'll be nominations throughout the next few months so that you can nominate someone to be Coach of the Year or Leader of the Year. Okay, and the final one is we're going to be restarting the Leadership Project Live. So we have a live stream show that we put on hold for a little while there was a few things going on in our life. We were quite busy moving house. There was a number of different things, but we got such great feedback from the previous live stream show that it's time to bring it back. We were having all kinds of topics. Do you have a victim mindset or a creator mindset? Leadership topics like how to lead with authenticity. And we had a live stream on how to give feedback to your boss, which was designed for all kinds of individual practitioners that need to be able to give feedback to your boss, and that can be a scary event as well. So that were 3 examples of previous live streams that we'll do, but that's what we'll do going forward. We'll have ones that are around mindset, around high performance mindset, ones around leadership, and then ones about how to create your own career aimed around individual contributors. So we're excited to bring those to you in the near future as well. We've had a few more comments coming through. So Lisa, that's fantastic. I really enjoyed organizational psychology when I studied it. Thank you, Lisa. I might reach out to you for some tips as I go. And Irene, well, you inspired that journey, Irene. Wishing you all the best on your studies. It was you that made me think that I need to formalize this instead of just being a student of life and the way that I've been studying leadership to make it a little bit more formal. So thank you so much. And then Say is starting to put the links so that so that you can participate in nominating a coach of the year and a leader of the year. We'll also announce in the not too distant future who the panelist will be, who will be our judging panel for leader of the year and coach of the year. So here's the form. For those that are on LinkedIn, it'll be posted in Facebook as well. There's the form that you can start nominating someone as leader of the year or coach of the year. Okay, as I bring the plane into land, as they speak, just a couple of little reminders as we close out. Don't forget to catch this week's podcast with Jill Schumann around the science of bravery. This was really interesting. And if you struggle with fear, if you struggle with courage, if you struggle to step in, Jill has got some amazing work that you can do, some tips that you can do, very practical tips where you can step into courage and become the best version of yourself. Next week, we have Heather Younger talking about the art of self-leadership. And we talk on the show about 3 dimensions of leadership. We talk about leading self, leading others, and leading the business. And if we are not leading yourself, you can't do the other 2 as effectively. So the art of self-leadership is really important. And we have amazing guests coming for the coming months. Sabina Nawaz with her art of delegation and her delegation dial. It's really practical. Jamie Wolf and Chris Bell, 2 ex-Pixar executives, talking to us about the art of storytelling. Kyle McDowell, so you've heard of Start With Why from Simon Sinek. Kyle's work with Begin With We, it's really powerful around how you inspire others and how you lead with values and vision. And the amazing Henrik Bresman. I could have spoken to Henrik for 27 hours and we wouldn't have been finished, but he introduced us to work that he's done. He's a professor at INSEAD. He coupled together with another professor at MIT, and they developed this concept of X teams. And that's to stop looking so inwardly focused as a team and start getting more externally focused. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. Congratulations again to all of our winners. You have inspired all of us. For those that won the judges panel, congratulations. That means that you had an incredible impact to us on at the team TLP. For those that won the People's Choice, that means that you were the one that captivated our audience attention. So congratulations to all our winners, and we look forward to coming back with you soon with our live stream show and with more amazing guests on the Leadership Project podcast. And don't forget to start nominating someone for either Leader of the Year or Coach of the Year.